Tall buildings, tiny roads, many cars, fewer buses, trains that kill, but no one to take responsibility. Welcome to India's urban development, where everyone has power, but nobody takes accountability. You would have seen this video. Tesla finally arrives in India with a Mumbai showroom. It is a usual thing in India. Politicians lining up for photo ops, showrooms and factories unveiling flashy cars, all attract more attention than most public transport projects ever will. But a month ago, something tragic happened in Mumbai. Again, nothing new. 4 people died in local train accident near Thane, and as always, the system gave a knee-jerk reaction. Maharashtra government, Railway Ministry, and even High Court has something to say. But nobody said, "We failed, we are sorry." Hi, I am Swapnil Karkare, a chartered accountant and an economist, and I welcome you on this podcast. We cut through the noise to decode what really matters, from inflation to infrastructure and from startups to state economies. If you have ever asked how this works, ये सब कैसे काम करता है, then you are in the right place. Let's make the Indian economy make some sense in this podcast. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about public transportation system in Indian cities. Let's get started. Over 70% of railway related deaths are due to just two reasons: people falling off the trains or getting run over by on tracks. The 2016 CAG report noted over 33,000 suburban rail deaths between 2010 and 2014, over half of them in Mumbai. Shockingly, 82% of all fall-related deaths on the Indian railways happened in Mumbai. And believe it or not, in 2014, Indian Railways even proposed a bill to legally challenge or legally deny compensation for such accident, calling them as passengers' negligence and not railways' fault. This bill was withdrawn after a backlash in 2016. Courts, meanwhile, have held government responsible in many such cases. Not just that, back in 2012, a high-level railway safety review committee led by Dr. Anil Kakodkar, a very renowned scientist, said bluntly, no civilized society can accept such a massacre on their railway system. It flagged over 6,000 annual deaths on Mumbai local trains due to overcrowding, poor infrastructure, and basic safety related issues. It said that this needed a war footing intervention, but nothing has changed till now. It also said that this is railway's responsibility and it cannot pass the buck. Well, let's not get too much legal into this. I don't want to blame every accident on railways, but let's focus on another issue. When public infrastructure works well, ministers take the credit. New metro line is coming up, posters go up. New bridges, ribbons are cut. But when things go wrong, when buses break, trains stop, and metro train stations flood with water, nobody takes the blame. The blame is scattered. Oh, the contractor. Oh, the rains. Oh, the technical snag. Never the governance model. Never a single person or a department. That is why partly politicians avoid associating themselves with any public transportation. Even they avoid it for safer reasons. But when it comes to private vehicles, it's the opposite. Government is not in this business and risks are all private. So even if certain things happen, it's private sector to blame too. But when things are working well and when there is new launch, all political parties love to attend those fancy expos. But do you know that there is a little bit history, sociology, and consumer behavior into all this? Let's consider Maruti's story. In August 1971, Maruti Motors Limited was established, with Sanjay Gandhi becoming the first managing director. Then the Indian government started engaging in negotiations with Suzuki in 1982. Following several months of preparations, Suzuki of Japan and Maruti Udyog Limited of India signed a license and joint venture agreement in October 1982. That early public-private partnership played a huge role in shaping today's Indian car manufacturing, as well as car consuming economy, and also how Indians viewed mobility. There is no denial on how auto sector contributed to India's growth, but it also cemented a policy bias towards private transportation. There are land concessions given for building a car manufacturing plant, or various kinds of incentives, or certain types of loopholes and rule tweaking things happen. Then there are more incentives like PLI, EV scheme, FAME, lower GST, all these things which are latest. All that effort goes into selling us more private cars, more private ownership. Not just that, emission standards, insurance rules, safety measures, all are sorted for private cars. But for public transportation, well, nobody's looking at it. They are probably breaking law every minute. Look at how much smoke is coming out of every city bus, right? No one can walk beside that. Or number of people squeezed into the bus or train. These are absolutely higher than the permitted limits. But nobody is taking care of that. And this is not entirely to be blamed on political class. In cities, private cars increasingly signal aspirations and independence, especially for young people. Public transportation, meanwhile, is often seen as a last resort. And obviously, it is seen as inconvenience too. The ITDP's Transport for All survey found over 60% of users cite overcrowding, delays, and discomfort as major issues while talking about public transportation, especially buses. This perception gap directly influences policy, investments, and also ribbon cuttings. Naturally, showrooms and auto expos get more buzz than buses. And no, it is not an anti-car rant. The auto sector matters, it empowers people, it gives jobs to people, it brings new technologies, it helps in exports also. But in this frenzy, somewhere public transport got behind. Thus, for years, public transportation was neglected. It was underfunded, fragmented, and uncoordinated. It wasn't made attractive enough to be aspirational. So when people got richer, they didn't wait for buses to improve, they directly bought cars. Now cities are paying the price for that. We have more high rises than ever before, narrower roads, denser pockets, more towers, fewer parks, more cars, but not much parking space. Then there's the elephant in the room, the siloed governance model everywhere followed in India. The road ministry builds highways, that's their target, and it is doing perfectly fine. The commerce minister woos auto giants. The finance ministry and the RBI wants real estate growth. Urban bodies want housing numbers to rise because property tax. All valid but disjointed targets and goals which kind of affect us. Do we need taller buildings? If you ask me, I will say yes. We need more FSI to accommodate people in affordable way. But with that, we also need wider roads, cleaner air, and stronger public transit. According to ORF study, a key reason for India's public transport failure is a lack of integrated institutional planning. Transport bodies, metro authorities, municipalities, railways all work in silos. This leads to chaos and contradictions. It's not that only one party is to be blamed. This is structural, this is systemic, this is a governance issue. Even political parties often can't do much because responsibilities are split across departments and ministries. Sometimes even people believe that this is what is needed. Yes, a lot of people feel that more number of cars on street is a good thing. Therefore, we need independent, empowered urban planning institutions that cut across silos. If such a body decides that there should be a wider road or there should be a park in this area, then that should be the final decision, and no minister or department or even a builder should override that. Finally, coming to the last angle of public transportation service, which is bus. I can do a single episode on bus services in India, but I will save it for later. We all know how bus service in India is, especially the government service. We don't like it much. The buses are dirty, they are not punctual, they are unreliable, they are crowded, and often too old. What is the solution? The state transportation system's governance and efficiency and financial structure, everything needs to be revived. It is a long task, it is a long haul process. Can we do it immediately? Some cities have tried to solve that problem, some are very successful, and most are not. What is the short term thing that can be done is to allow private sector. Yes, private bus operators do exist in Indian cities, but their wings are often clipped. But let's see what happens when a private entity tries to enter what's already one of the world's lowest density public bus system. Let's talk about Uber Shuttle, a premium bus service, 100 plus routes, 500 buses, serving real needs with good proposition. But what happened? It had to shut down its business in Mumbai and Hyderabad. Why? Because Uber had some regulatory and compliance related issues. But most importantly, it didn't have a stage carrier permit. Now, there are two kinds of permits buses get. First is stage carrier permits like BEST in Mumbai or General ST or state transportation buses, where buses are allowed to operate on that fixed route with multiple pickups and drop offs. Second is contract carriage permit, which means like a company bus, a tourist bus, or buses used for weddings or school trips. It doesn't allow this kind of flexibility. It has to start from one place, end at one place, and have to have a proper mechanism of who will get in and who will get out. I think you got what I want to say. And it's not just about Uber. The same happened with Ola Shuttle, Zipgo, and Amazon Shuttle. Even CityFlow had some compliance related issues. Mumbai isn't short on demand, it is short on regulatory imagination. Because look at this irony. Just weeks before CityFlow was flagged, it announced a JV with the Maharashtra government to launch 500 electric buses under GCC. That's how the broken governance is. Operators like CityFlow say that they have been submitting documents since 2020, but nothing has happened. Meanwhile, Uber has to shut down its business operations in Mumbai and Hyderabad, citing lack of regulatory clarity and financial losses. I mean, why? Why do we underestimate mass transit systems like this, even if they are private? There's another issue with private sector mass transit systems. First is the regulatory clarity, which we discussed just now. The second is unit economics. These buses need to run at a minimum capacity of 60% to break even. But that's very tough outside the peak or rush hours, especially when fares are too high for daily transit for many people. So on one side, these innovations are stopped by outdated permits and laws, and on the other hand, it is punished by unit economics. But we need to devise a mechanism to change this system. Mumbai just has 28 buses per lakh people, far below the recommended level of 40 to 60. That's where we are right now. Low state capacity, high private sector intent, but a system that strangles both state transportation systems and private transportation systems. And it's high time that the government understands that people need comfort and ease of travel. We welcome car factories but punish bus innovation. That is bizarre. And where is the political support? No one wants to talk about these issues. One angle I thought that why politicians do not talk or do not like to talk about these things is because the vote bank of state employees or the unions. They are the big vote bank. Imagine if they started protesting. This can spill over and can turn into a statewide or a nationwide drive against privatization, which nobody wants. If the ruling party, kind of supports privatization, then the opposition will try to protest. And if opposition also, come together with the ruling party, then things might be very difficult because again, I told you like it can turn into a large scale agitation. But Indian political parties don't like to support privatization because of the socialist mindset that people and political leaders have. However, in many podcasts and other channels, we have heard from many political leaders that they like private sector, they want private sector participation to go up, but nobody talks about this in open for obvious reasons. But here's the real kicker, which again is funny in a different way. Private operators already run about 93% of all buses in India. Yes, 93%. The same private sector that the government and employee unions seem allergic to. It is an already dominant player. So it is completely illogical to defend this apathetic and inefficient public transportation sector like banking or telecom, where government justified that it needs to be a dominant player when it came to decision making from the consumers or people. We have made that decision, we have called that bluff and said that no, private people are more efficient, let's go and use their services. The public sector banks lag the private sector in many areas. BSNL and MTNL are nowhere to seen now. So things are pretty clear. If tomorrow private players are allowed, the government knows what will happen to the state transportation. And that could be another reason why state governments do not like to make such decisions. Honestly, I am all for government backed public transportation system. But unfortunately, the governments in India have failed it. If I am a minister, I would give a simple ultimatum: make it efficient in next 5 years or allow private sector. And even if that is not the case, I don't know why government should stand in the way of innovation. If someone is trying to improve the system through apps, cleaner buses and transparent pricing, then why should government come in between? Let the people choose. That's the bare minimum we should expect from the government. And when we are talking about car companies and all, do you think those factories or those deals happen overnight with a single click? No, there are a lot of backroom things going on, right? So why cannot we accommodate something like Uber Shuttle? If they are doing something shady, then obviously do stop them. But don't stop for minor things and regulatory things that doesn't seem logical in today's day and age. Therefore, I feel that we need better systems and updated and better laws, because big cities need special care, and if they are not handled on time, then things might go out of hand soon. Currently, these cities don't have any positive road. All that's left in Mumbai, Bangalore, or Pune are negative roads, where private vehicles dominate and ecosystem favors them. Agreed that we can't fix this system overnight, but we can start by asking one question: who our cities are truly built for? If that becomes our central question, then planning everything can change and can be done better. Here's one weird but telling suggestion. Maharashtra has 288 MLAs. Let each one travel once during peak hours in Mumbai local trains without security from airport to Mantralaya. One MLA a day, and within a year, all will understand what commuters face. Add in 79 Vidhan Parishad members and 790 MPs, and we will have national agenda in next 4 years. So, this is the time for our leaders and ministers to answer our real questions. Thank you. See you soon.